This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
We all come together. All of these people come together and say, we want change and we want it now. It's going to happen.
I have to be willing to stand up and say to the person that, like, I do love God and I am here, and that you aren't going to push me away, and that I am going to make change for, like, the next tomorrow, for everyone in the future.
Right now at 5, protesters letting their voices be heard downtown after Cathedral High School fired a teacher in a same-sex marriage. And for the first time, we talked to Archbishop Charles Thompson on the controversial decision as the Catholic Church's teachings help lead Cathedral to take that action. We have team coverage of the Archbishop's message tonight, how people are responding to it, and how we got to this point. RTV6's Rafael Sanchez is live leading our team coverage tonight. Raf.
Mark, good evening. This is really the boiling point after what we've seen here throughout Indianapolis involving the Indianapolis Archdiocese and, of course, several of its teachers and prominent high schools in Indianapolis. As you can see behind me, the protests, the supporters are wrapping this up. My colleague Cameron Riddle will have more on this in a moment, but let me show you what we saw just a few moments ago here with Drone Cam 6. You can see the large crowd that gathered here outside of the Catholic Center. This is the headquarters for the Indianapolis Archdiocese, which represents more than 225,000 Catholics in central and south central Indiana. They came out here today to voice their concerns and their support for the teachers, the educators that have been in many ways punished because they were involved in same-sex marriages. And so as you can see from this video, a lot of people came out today to pray, to voice their concern, and to ask for changes. Back live here outside of the Catholic Center, I had a chance today to speak to the Archbishop, Charles Thompson. He says that people who are gay can teach in Catholic schools as long as they are not married. He says he was well aware of the situation both at Brebeuf and Cathedral for the past 2 years.
This is not a witch hunt. We don't go looking for these situations. Archbishop
Charles Thompson defending his decision to uphold church teachings on marriage.
One's orientation is not sin. One's orientation is not sin. The issue, as I go back to the beginning, as I said at the very beginning, the issue is about the public witness with church teaching on the dignity of marriage as one man and one woman. That is our church teaching.
That led to Cathedral High School not renewing the contract of a teacher. Brebeuf decided to drop its association with the Indianapolis Archdiocese and saved the job of its educator. The church revealing today for the first time that it was aware of the same-sex marriages for the past 2 years and saying that this would be a non-issue if the teachers ended their civil unions.
Yes, it's because it's about the living situation. It's not the orientation. Again, we would do the same thing if it was somebody cohabitating.
In the past 2 years, we've been made aware of 4 Catholic school employees in the Archdiocese who were found to be in violation of their employment contract, which requires people to follow church teachings.
When they're brought to my attention, though, because as I said previously, it is my responsibility, my duty to oversee the living of the faith, especially for our ministerial witnesses. This isn't about looking back and trying to find things in people's past. That's not what this is about. Whether it's what someone did previously or a long time ago. This is about what comes to our attention, and to address that.
And we'll hear more from the Archbishop tonight on the news at 6. I should point out that my colleague Cameron Riddle has been following this story since it erupted several days ago. He's been with the crowd throughout the afternoon when this prayer vigil began. Our team coverage now continues as Cameron, you've been talking to a lot of the young people, the alumni, all the people that are here. What's been the mood? What have they been telling you?
Well, Rafael, what you just played was the defense. What's happening out here is the offense, the response, and the rebuttal to the Archdiocese as he spoke with Rafael and other reporters here in Indianapolis earlier today. Outside, as we can take a look now live from Drone Cam 6, you can see the remaining protesters who were peacefully here praying, chanting, and singing, asking for understanding from the Indianapolis Archdiocese, who they say is not with the times when it comes to where the Catholic Church and the people who call it home are in this day and age. One of the people who has had a lot of experience with this story is a name that you will find familiar, Shelley Fitzgerald. She is the counselor who departed from Roncalli under similar situations as the teachers at Cathedral have after it was revealed that she was in a same-sex marriage. In a bit of a surprise appearance here this afternoon, she spoke to the crowd and says that the pain that everyone is feeling is the pain that she has felt, and today it's all just positive energy.
Remember, the day after I felt horrible, I felt worse than I've ever felt yesterday because my heart breaks so much. Then I come here and see all of this and I'm renewed again. And it's all in the name of God.
And out here live this evening, again, are still some of those protesters who have been peacefully praying and asking for some attention, asking for some dialogue with the Archdiocese. That is what the organizers of today's prayer circle are asking and would like to see now that we have seen so many people come together to make their voices heard on this. And Raphael, as we know, this story has now started to get national and international attention. And after we heard from the Archdiocese today, it's not quite over.
And Cameron, I know that you have called out to Rome, the Vatican, where the Pope is, and I should point out that the Archbishop today told us that he believes that what's happening in Indianapolis will be upheld by the Vatican. We'll see if that's the case. We'll see you tonight on the news at 6. So how did we end up here? You just saw his interview with Shelley Fitzgerald, the guidance counselor from Roncalli. For the past few days here in Indianapolis, we've seen a number of educators caught in this web, caught in this situation, at odds with their boss, the Archbishop. So let's do a timeline for you. Let's bring you up to speed as to what's been happening in Indianapolis on this case. We have to begin with Brebeuf. That is the latest incident here, of course. That's where Brebeuf officials announced that they were standing by a longtime teacher who is also in a same-sex marriage. Brebeuf, in order to keep that teacher in place, has decided to cut ties with the Indianapolis Archdiocese. That has been a major move, a major shocker here in this community. Then on Sunday, Cathedral fired a teacher in a same-sex marriage. The Archbishop, as you heard in my story just a few moments ago, explaining that employees sign an employment contract and must follow church teachings. And then last year, 2 guidance counselors at Roncalli, the high school on the city's south side, were the first involved in this controversy with the church. Shelley Fitzgerald and Lynn Starkey, both guidance counselors at that school, currently have filed complaints against the school, federal complaints, of course, demanding changes and demanding, of course, pay and back pay for this situation. This week, RTV6 also spoke to a prominent Democrat, J.D. Ford, and J.D. Ford represents a good portion of the west and northwest sides of Indianapolis, along as parts of Carmel. Ford also distinguishes himself as being the first openly gay lawmaker in Indiana. He shared his stance on the church's latest decisions on these cases. Here's what he had to say.
People's lives are at stake. These teachers who were dismissed, good teachers, good guidance counselors, are being dismissed from their jobs. And let's not forget that marriage equality is the law of the land. And, and I know other folks don't like that, but that's the case. So, here we are in 2019, and, this is still currently happening.
The words from Senator J.D. Ford. Of course, our coverage continues tonight on the news at 6. As you can see behind me, of course, the protesters, those who came out to support the church and the actions of Brebeuf, and those who are opposed to what happened at Cathedral and Roncalli still are here. We'll have much more from them and the Archbishop coming up tonight, all new at 6 o'clock. We're live downtown. Rafael Sanchez. Now, Mark, back to you.
And it didn't take long for that crowd to build. Raphael, thank you. We'll see you at 6 o'clock tonight. Everything we know about the Indy Catholic same-sex marriage debate is up right now on the RTV6 app and at the IndyChannel.com. That includes everything Archbishop Thompson said today, along with our past stories, so that you can gain even more perspective on this issue.
It's about heat and humidity, not just today, but tomorrow, through the weekend, and beyond in my 7-day forecast. If you just scan the horizon, you'll see these cumulus clouds, in some cases building vertically into a quick downpour, and then it collapses on itself. Most of that activity has been east of the state line, and in Ohio, we did have one little shower pop up inside 465, flare up, put down some rain, and then that was it. Wind is out of the southwest. That will keep our temperatures propped up, not just during the afternoon hours, but overnight temperatures will find it hard to cool off too much. As far as our temperature now, 86 degrees. It's close to that 90-degree mark in a few spots. Muncie again above 90. Any isolated thunderstorms, the chance is low, 20% or so. We'll still be at 78 at 10 o'clock tonight.
Still ahead at 5:30 on the Now Indy on RTV6. We have entered the future. We're going to introduce you to a new generation of wearable technology called robotic clothing. We'll show you how it works and why you may want it. But first, here at 5, a neighbor calls the health department about a disabled veteran's home. That vet reached out to RTV6 and got some much-needed help with his house.
Let's try it. Fast foodies know the deal.
A disabled veteran in our community is in desperate need for help. He's been struggling to take care of his home. Things got so bad, the health department had to get involved, and that's when he called RTV6. Working for you, our Stephanie Wade is connecting him to the resources to help and showing you what's available if you know someone who may be in a similar situation.
And the other thing is I've got to have Medicare.
It's been a tough time recently for Kevin Grieve.
Back in December, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure.
A disabled veteran who served in the Army and National Guard and now lives alone.
I don't have a lot of people I can really count on.
He's struggled to take care of his home. His roof is in need of repair. The tall grass and other structural issues prompted a neighbor to call the health department on him.
Instead of coming over to say, hey, neighbor, do you need help? They'd rather call the government in.
He says he's tried finding groups that might be able to help, but hit a dead end. So he called us.
I just don't have the resources. You know, I need help.
I searched for veteran outreach groups and came across Helping Heroes of America. They're a local group that helps vets with yard work and home repairs. The help this vet really needs.
My family's military. A lot of the people that are with the organization have military backgrounds.
Jennifer Highwood is the founder.
I've always had a passion for it, and I couldn't join, so this is my way of giving back.
I called her today, and she and her contractor, Sisson Floors and More, who does the work for free, came out immediately. They've decided to repair Grieve's home at no cost.
We're just a group of people that want to help and make a difference in the community.
I'm extremely grateful.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Now, this group has helped thousands of veterans over the past 4 years. They also help vets with past due bills, car payments, and eviction notices. They've done over $7 million worth of repairs and rely solely on fundraising and donations. If you or someone you know might benefit from this help, we have more information on our website, theindychannel.com, or email us at workingforyou@rtv6.com.
The community is just, as a whole, distraught. It's a sad day for us. We should save the building. What can we do? How can we help?
Tonight, controversy over the idea of losing a piece of state history and a place that has sentimental ties for so many. The Indiana School for the Deaf recently celebrated its 175th anniversary. Simpson Hall, which served as a dormitory on that campus, was built in 1911. Goes way back. Now there's word the building could be torn down. And as RTV6's Derek Thomas explains, that does not sit well with some former students and historic preservationists.
The building has large pillars, marble floors, and beautiful stairwells. It is 75,000 square feet. It was Debbie Gessinger's dormitory home from 5th grade to her sophomore year in high school. She wants it saved.
What happens to all the things that are still inside that building that are still so valuable? What are you going to do with that? And the deaf community is really upset, and why not just go ahead and save it?
It has been empty for 30 years. Experts say it would take $15 to $20 million worth of rehab work to get the building in shape.
It's got a lot of memories for a lot of people that don't necessarily have a voice in this community.
Day is an architect who has relatives who attended the School for the Deaf.
It's much bigger than architecture. It's much bigger than what the state's budget is. It's very much a part of the culture of the people who have supported Indiana School for the Deaf and people who have been a part of that community for so long.
Mark DeLassy of the Indiana Landmarks Foundation told me that their efforts to save Simpson Hall is like running their heads through a brick wall.
I am perfectly open to listening if somebody has a path forward with this in a very short period of time, but I think the state told me at least a couple of months ago that they were looking at demolishing the building this summer.
Gessinger received the 2019 Alumnus of the Year award for her hard work trying to save Simpson Hall. Until the wrecking ball strikes, she will continue to fight. Derek Thomas, RTV6.
U.S. Senator Todd Young of Indiana is now a co-sponsor of a bill that will help get 9/11 first responders the medical care they need. Last week, Young said he supported the proposal, but stopped before saying he would become a co-sponsor. The bill has more than 60 senators co-sponsoring it, both Republicans and Democrats. The September 11th Victim Compensation Fund is set to run out of money in December of 2020. Comedian and former host of The Daily Show, Jon Stewart, pleaded for its passage last month. The other senator from Indiana, Mike Braun, has not become a co-sponsor. Time now for your Storm Team 6 forecast. A warm day out there. A lot of people getting outside, taking advantage of it, but it was a hot one.
And we haven't had the warmth for a while, so even now with temperatures upper 80s, you're thinking it's hot, right? A lot of times we'd reserve hot for, say, 95.
Right,
like
but
that.
Hot today.
Everything is relative in the weather world. I'll point out records this time of the year, all in the triple digits, at least in most cases. 89 is the feel in Indianapolis. That's your heat index. 90 up in Peru, heat index in the low 90s in Muncie. Actual air temperatures all falling short of that 90-degree mark with the exception of Delaware County. As we look ahead, that combination of heat and humidity will be with us. Not much is going to change over the next several days. What we have today, we'll do again tomorrow and into the weekend. That will push our heat index values, what it feels like, to 95 degrees. So you go out and you work up a sweat, it just won't evaporate from your body, which denies you that cooling impact of evaporation, and that's why we have the heat index. As you look to the north, not much happening. There are these towers that occasionally will build into a shower, maybe a thunderstorm. That's really in the eastern portion of the state where it's a little more likely, and we've had a couple of those in the eastern portion of Indiana and one in Marion County. As we go through the evening hours, it's going to be a nice night for a walk. Something tells me that Jerry is a Frisbee dog. Maybe it's all the holes in the Frisbee there. He's taking a little break. He knows where the shade line is. PJ, thanks for sending in a picture of Jerry. Temperatures, they'll cool into the 70s, but stay at 70 or above as we go through the overnight hours. Temperatures next several mornings right around 70 degrees. 9 o'clock this evening, anywhere east of Indy, that remote chance of an isolated shower or downpour. Then by 11, they collapse and fall away. Friday, lots of sunshine. I think our chance for rain tomorrow is pretty much 10% non-existent. We are going to be dry. Temperatures in the upper 80s, 4 or 5 degrees above average for this time of the year. The wind out of the southwest at about 10. Temperatures to the north almost as warm as to the south. There won't be much of a temperature range. It's just a matter of how much sunshine you get through the afternoon when the clouds pop up. Upper 80s in the metro area as we're still in search technically for our first 90-degree day of 2019. Over the weekend, 20% chance of thunderstorms both Saturday and Sunday, and you can see overnight lows around 70, highs about 90 degrees, and that mixture of clouds and sunshine. If you're looking for any change in the temperature, it comes in the middle of next week, but we only cool down into the mid-80s, and all the fireworks there at the end on the right side of the 7-day planner. That's for the 4th of July.
The holiday is coming.
We'll go for a 40% chance for thunderstorms on the 4th, mid-80s.
We'll keep an eye on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin. 10 ducklings have been reunited with their mother after falling down a storm drain. Luckily, the drain they fell down was at Indianapolis EMS headquarters, and the employees there are trained for all kinds of rescues. Look at this. The Indianapolis EMS closed quarters rescue squad went to work there, even crawling into the drain to pull those little ducklings out. Now they're waddling around Indy with their mother again, as you see there. I love a happy ending to a story. Still ahead on this Throwback Thursday, a popular computer from the 80s is coming back with a much cheaper price tag. You're watching RTV6.
Keller and Keller.
You're watching RTV6 News at 5. An unexpected development in a capital murder case that changes everything. Let's get to our Scripps team at Court TV. Julie Grant with the new developments this evening.
A very good day to you. I'm Julie Grant with Court TV. Today in court, a shocking development in the Scott Nelson murder trial in Orlando, Florida. The defendant taking the stand in his own defense and admitting that he killed Jennifer Fulford in 2017.
Who killed Jennifer Fulford?
I did.
Nelson confessing to the brutal killing, but then blaming his federal probation officer, who he says was responsible for causing him to lose his job and getting him kicked out of the place where he was living and working. Jennifer Fulford was brutally killed, her body then abandoned in the woods. Investigators say that she died from both stab wounds and suffocation. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty against Nelson. We'll continue bringing you live gavel-to-gavel coverage of this compelling trial all day long here on Court TV. I'm Julie Grant. Now back to you in the studio.
Julie, thank you. You can keep up with this case and many others around the country 24 hours a day on CourtTV.com. It is Throwback Thursday, and this next story proves what's old is new again. If you are of a certain age, you remember this. I do. 1980s computer, the Commodore 64 is coming back, and it will have a fully functional keyboard. Manufacturer Retro Games said this week they've started working on an updated version of the 8-bit computer. The Commodore 64 first came out in 1982, and at the time it cost $595. The updated C64 will cost around $200. Retro Games is expected to release the throwback computer in early December. The new Commodore 64 will come with a full-size retro keyboard, a classic joystick, and a selection of classic games. Look at that, going back to 1982. All new at 6 p.m. here on RTV6, the years-long fight to get records that are supposed to be public. Inside one woman's struggle and how things are changing for the better. But first on the Now, Indy, it's summer, and that means it's time to go camping and eat some s'mores. But before you head into the woods, we talk to scouts who make sure you're ready for that experience. You're watching RTV6.